Divinely confirmed, 3 miraculous days of healing prophetic love manifested in their hearts. In the quaint village of Ashwood, golden rays of dawn kissed the rooftops, and Sarah, a devoted mother, knelt before their family altar, her heart whispering fervent prayers. Hope flickered like a candle as she called upon St. Jude, the patron of hopeless causes. Her world had tilted when her sweet son, Jamie, was diagnosed with an untreatable illness, plunging her steadfast faith into shadow. Every day, darkness loomed larger. With each doctor's appointment, her spirit crumbled further. Yet Sarah remained unyielding, fervently seeking divine intervention, binding her intentions to those of her neighbors who gathered in prayer. Word spread throughout Ashwood, every home touched by Jamie's plight. Her unwavering prayers ignited a flicker of faith in every heart. As days passed, Jamie's condition worsened, and deepening despair seeped into their home. Mark, Sarah's husband, his brow furrowed with skepticism, struggled against believing in miracles, creating a rift in their once solid bond. Sarah felt the weight of his disbelief as she clung to her faith. In a moment of vulnerability, a compassionate pastor overheard their turmoil. Inspired, he preached of love and healing at Sunday service. His words, "Divine healing is upon us," rang through the air like a soft, bubbling brook, stirring a revival in the congregation. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Unfathomable anticipation grew as Sarah organized a prayer vigil at the church. Each villager arrived, clutching their own worries but united in spirit for Jamie. The evening air hummed with unspoken desire, as families whispered prayers and hopeful intentions beneath the warm light of flickering candles. As Sarah prayed with fervor, she felt a radiant warmth envelop her, a gentle caress from the divine. On the eve of the vigil, she drifted into a dream, vivid and alive. Angels clothed in shimmering glory encircled Jamie, their presence filling the air like a sacred hymn. She awoke, a rush of divine assurance washing over her. Clutching her rosary, she felt an undeniable certainty that Jamie would be healed. The night of the vigil unfolded like a tapestry of divine anticipation. As stories of miraculous healings emerged from the villagers' mouths, the air crackled with hope. Not long after, an earthly voice echoed from Jamie's room, sending waves of disbelief and awe coursing through the congregation. "I'm free from illness," he proclaimed. Laughter replaced the tears. As the joyful news swept through Ashwood, old fractures thawed. Sarah felt the walls of doubt crumble, yet shadows still lingered. This wondrous event left her pondering, what did this healing truly mean for their family? Was it a singular miracle or the beginning of something far grander? Joy intertwined with uncertainty, as Sarah wondered deep within her spirit and heart, would this journey lead them all closer to an even greater divine purpose? The path ahead shimmered with promise and questions, beckoning them into a still unwritten chapter of faith. As the days unfolded, Sarah clasped her hands, staring into the flickering candlelight that now filled their living room. The warmth of Jamie's laughter lingered in the air, a sweet melody that danced around the walls of their home, reclaiming the space from despair. Yet, with every joyous memory of his vibrant spirit, there remained a small flicker of doubt in her heart. Mark, once a pillar of strength, still wandered close to shadows of disbelief. Could this really be permanent? He mused, the worry etched deep in his brows. Sarah noticed the weight of reality that hovered around him. She understood his struggle, yet her heart whispered that this miracle was just the beginning of a divine saga. That Sunday, the church brimmed with more than the usual congregation. It seemed the air pulsed with reverent energy. Villagers gathered, not just for community, but for a shared victory over fear. As Pastor George stepped onto the pulpit, his presence radiated confidence. "Friends," he began, "today we celebrate not just a healing. Today, we witness the profound love of God, a love that binds us all." Every word felt like a heavenly echo, reaching deep into the crevices of their souls. "Let us be reminded," Pastor George continued, "that miracles do not only heal our bodies, they light a fire in our hearts. This light, our faith, can guide us through uncertainty. His passion gripped Sarah, igniting a flame of determination within her. She squeezed Mark's hand tightly, willing him to feel the same fervor. She wanted him to believe. After the service, a delicate hush fell over Ashwood once more as Sarah and Mark walked home. As twilight painted the skies, they ventured into a conversation that left Sarah's heart thumping. "What do you think it all means?" Mark finally asked, his voice soft yet filled with longing for understanding. "I believe it means we must seek our purpose," she replied, meeting his gaze. "This is a call for us, Mark. Maybe we're being asked to share this love, to be vessels of hope for others." Mark nodded slowly, the weight of her words settling within him. But as they approached their home, Sarah noticed a flicker of something different. A gathering crowd formed at the church, shadows weaving in and out of the light. The church doors creaked open, revealing that familiar warmth spilling out into the night. Whispers of shared miracles flowed through the air, each villager recounting their own stories of overcoming despair. A woman timidly approached Sarah, eyes wide and filled with trepidation. "I was once lost, but seeing Jamie I found hope," she exclaimed, tears shimmering in her eyes. In that moment, it struck Sarah that the healing wasn't merely about Jamie. It was an awakening for the entire village, an invitation to rise together. The air sparkled with an intoxicating blend of hope and assurance. The sweet scent of blooming flowers filled the night as laughter and encouragement intertwined. Still, shadows lingered in Sarah's mind, questions beckoning for answers. What greater purpose awaited them as a family? Were they truly to lead others in the same way they had been led? She felt exhilarated yet anxious, standing at the edge of something magnificent, but what? In the midst of the village's reclaimed joy, Sarah breathed deeply, opening herself to whatever divine plans waited on the horizon. Her heart raced with anticipation, and as she prepared to step into the gaping unknown, she wondered, could this be the start of an even greater miracle? The path ahead shimmered not just with promise, but also with divine mystery, pregnant with hope and questions that lay just beyond their grasp. As the cool night air wrapped around them, Sarah and Mark stood on the threshold of their home, the night resonating with voices of faith and hope. They exchanged looks filled with questions and silent promises. Sarah felt a stirring within her, a whisper that urged her beyond the confines of their lived experiences. With the gentle press of her hand against Mark's shoulder, she conveyed her desire to step forward into the unfolding story. "Mark, we have to be part of this," she urged, excitement bubbling in her voice. The crowd gathered at the church felt like a living testament to the miraculous, each person radiating the glow of renewed faith. Mark's brow furrowed slightly, yet he felt a yearning too. "But how? We're just ordinary people, Sarah. What can we possibly offer?" "Hope, Mark. Just hope. Our story, our journey, it doesn't need to be grand to inspire. Sometimes, just sharing what we've gone through can light someone else's path," she replied, her heart understanding the very essence of community. With a deep breath, he nodded, feeling the warmth of her conviction seep into his bones. Together, they walked toward the gathering that pulsed with life. The air brimmed with hushed tales, soft laughter, and the gentle rustling of prayers like autumn leaves dancing in the wind. As they entered the church, Sarah felt a divine presence wrap around her, lifting her spirit. It was as if every pillar held not just the weight of the building, but the weight of countless prayers. The scent of candle wax mingled with the fresh blooms, infusing the sacred space with comfort. Pastor George stood at the front, his hands outstretched. "Let us share our stories tonight. Let our trials transform into testaments." His voice rose, keeping rhythm with the hearts of everyone present. One by one, villagers stepped forward. Old Mr. Tompkins shared how, after losing his job, he found unexpected support from the very community he thought he had let down. A family recounted how they once struggled with despair yet found light through their children's faith. Each story unfolded like a delicate flower, blossoming under the sun of shared experience. Overwhelmed, Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. Each testimony wrapped around her heart, weaving a tapestry of hope that seemed tangible. They were not alone, they belonged to a greater narrative. Finally, it was their turn. Mark squeezed her hand, and together they walked to the front. As they faced the congregation, Sarah took a moment, her breath catching with emotion. "We may not have all the answers," she began, voice steady yet tender. "But what we do have is a message of hope of God's love." Jamie's healing stirred something within us, awakening us to what true faith looks like together. When they finished, the silence was profound. It felt as though the air itself held its breath, allowing the meaning of their words to settle deeply within each listener's heart. In that charged silence, a whisper arose, one by one believers began to rise. Hands clutched together in prayer, voices lifted in worship. The music of their praises lifted to the heavens, accompanied by the flickering candles and the brilliant glow of faith reborn. Sarah felt an electrifying peace cascade over her. Perhaps, she mused, this wasn't just about shared stories. Maybe it was a call to revival, moving through Ashwood like a current of awakening. But still, with joy and anticipation surged deeper questions within her. What other miracles awaited them? What were they truly being led to become in this sacred movement? As they joined in worship, their hearts soared amidst the praise, captivating the moment, a moment painted with strokes of hope, love, and divine wonder. And yet, even in the joy, a quiet sense of urgency unfurled within Sarah. What did their role in this unfolding miracle truly entail? With faith so palpable, their hearts ready to be stretched, Sarah pondered, would they arise to the call placed upon their lives? The answer lay just beyond the horizon, shimmering with divine mysteries waiting to be unveiled. As the gentle melody of worship filled the sanctuary, Sarah's heart pulsed with a rhythm of empathy and renewed purpose. It felt like an electric current connecting her to everyone around her, the old, the young, the broken, and the healed. Each note, each whispered prayer, felt like an invitation to dive deeper into this shared experience of faith. They were all pieces of a larger puzzle, and somehow, she and Mark were part of it. After the service, the couple found themselves surrounded by familiar faces, eager to connect. Mrs. Thompson, with her sparkling eyes, shared how her garden thrived after her health restored. "Faith isn't just a feeling, you know," she said, her voice warm as honey. "It's an active choice. When I believed, everything changed." Mark nodded, absorbing her words. "It's inspiring how each story bends towards hope." They moved from one embrace to another, listening to laughter and hearsay echoing around them. Everyone seemed transformed, each spirit ignited by the encounters of shared struggles and victories. Questions swirled in Sarah's mind: what sparked this powerful shift? She felt as if they were participants in a living tapestry woven by divine threads. As the warmth of fellowship enveloped them, Pastor George approached them, a knowing smile on his face. "Your words stirred something profound tonight, didn't they? Sometimes the heart simply needs to see tangible faith in action." "What do you mean?" Mark asked, puzzled. "Your journey resonates with others. It's the struggles that draw us closer as community. It's the realization that we grow through shared experiences, together." That phrase "together" echoed in Sarah's heart. She had sensed it earlier that evening. The whispers of divine encouragement beckoned them to act and to belong. "Is this why we're here? To ignite the spirit of togetherness?" Sarah ventured. There was something deeper lurking just below the surface she couldn't quite grasp. "Yes." Pastor George smiled, as if her words had echoes of prophetic insight. "You are part of a movement growing here, a faith that values the stories and struggles, one that breathes life into hope. There's power in community." As they stepped outside, the moon hung like a silver blessing in the night sky. The stars twinkled with reminders of promises fulfilled. Sarah pulled Mark closer and pointed toward a cluster of bright stars. "Look at them, Mark. Each one is a story, just like us. And together, they create something beautiful." Mark smiled, gazing up at the sky. "You're right. We're meant to reflect that light, but how?" She paused, feeling a stirring in her spirit. "Maybe we start here, in Ashwood. Maybe we host gatherings, share our experiences, bring our community together in faith." Mark's eyes widened. "You think others would come?" "I believe they would," Sarah replied with conviction, a flame of anticipation warming her. "If we provide space for sharing and healing, who knows what miracles could unfold?" As they walked home under that celestial canopy, Sarah felt a call pressing gently against her heart, a nudge towards something greater than herself. And then came that moment of clarity. In her spirit, she grasped the urgency of the task ahead. It wasn't a simple prayer meeting. They were called to cultivate an atmosphere of genuine connection. What if this is about breaking barriers? Mark murmured, as if he too was feeling the stirrings of something deeper. Yes, she exclaimed, excitement bubbling once more. What if our gathering could become a haven for healing, a space where burdens are shared, and hope reignited? With this vision blossoming between them, they knew they would move forward, but a shadow of uncertainty drifted near. What challenges would they face? Would their hearts remain anchored in faith? The night held its breath as they stepped into the warmth of their home, a sanctuary of dreams yet to be realized. Together they prayed for guidance, unsure of what lay ahead. Little did they know, their journey towards awakening was just beginning. The following morning dawned with a clarity that felt almost sacred. As sunlight streamed through their kitchen window, it cast golden rays across the table where Sarah and Mark sat. Their hearts still carried the weight and wonder of last night's revelations. Sarah sipped her coffee, feeling the warmth spread through her, igniting a spark of inspiration within her spirit. "What do you think our first gathering should look like?" Mark asked, leaning forward with genuine curiosity. His excitement mirrored hers, and Sarah felt the familiar rush of hope pulsing in her veins. It was a hope that did not depend on certainty but flourished in the face of the unknown. "Well," she pondered, "maybe we begin with a simple meal. Something inviting. Tables filled with people sharing their stories." She smiled, envisioning laughter and tears mingling in that space, a sanctuary of connection. "We could also have a time for prayer, maybe even some worship. Let God guide it." Mark nodded, fired up by her enthusiasm. "Let us find a way to invite everyone. The whole community. The ones we know and even those we don't." They spent the morning mapping out the details, their minds buzzing with plans and ideas. With every decision, they felt a powerful presence surrounding them, a confirmation that this was the right path. Yet as excitement bubbled toward the surface, Sarah sensed fear lurking beneath it, whispering doubts at the edges of her thoughts. "What if they don't come?" she voiced, her brow furrowing slightly. Or, Mark countered gently, "What if they do? What if God uses this to change lives?" His words, filled with faith, helped to settle the fluttering in her stomach. She closed her eyes for a moment, allowing the truth of God's promise to wash over her, feeding her soul like the bread of life. The awareness that they were embarking on this journey together stilled her fears. As the days rolled into a series of preparations, the couple reached out, inviting friends, family, and neighbors. They shared their vision, burning with passion and authenticity. Slowly but surely, the word spread, and anticipation grew. Sarah felt the ocean of doubt recede, replaced by waves of excitement. Then came the day of the gathering. The air thrummed with potential. The community center was transformed with flickering candles and the sweet aroma of homemade dishes. As people began to arrive, it felt like a reunion, faces lit with warmth and curiosity. Sarah and Mark welcomed everyone with open arms, their hearts swelling at the sight of familiar and new faces merging to form a vibrant tapestry of faith. Soon, the room buzzed with conversations, laughter, and the clanging of plates. As they took their seats at long tables, Sarah could feel the tangible love in the air, an echo of the sacred spirit uniting them. When it was time for prayer, Mark stood before the gathering with a humble confidence. "Let us take a moment to thank God for bringing us here, for knowing our hearts and our stories. Everyone has faced something in life, and every struggle has brought us to this moment." His words hung in the air like a fragrant incense, inviting reflection. People nodded, some with tears glistening. There was a palpable weight of shared experiences, a unity that had begun to break the barriers that often divided. Afterward, as they opened the floor to share testimonies, Sarah listened with rapt attention. Each story was a flicker of faith, a reminder that hope could dwell even in the dark corners of life. Together, they laughed, cried, and prayed, the atmosphere thick with divine presence. Finally, as the evening waned and the glow of candles illuminated their faces, Sarah sensed a shift. It was something deeper than the physical space they were creating, a home for the weary, a refuge of healing. She felt the spirit bubbling within her, urging her to speak. I believe this isn't just a one-time experience, she began, her voice unwavering. What if this is the beginning of something much larger? A place where lives can be transformed, and burdens lifted. Then, drawing a sharp breath, she added, what if God is calling us beyond our fears to not only share stories but to witness miracles? The room fell silent, anticipation humming like tension in the air. Something stirred in each heart, a flicker of divine possibility igniting fresh hope. But as they lingered in that moment of sacred tension, the question hung heavily, what miraculous wonders awaited them on this journey? The answer fluttered just out of reach, like a dove awaiting release, and each soul present could feel it calling them forward. The next morning, Sarah woke with a renewed sense of purpose. The echoes of last night's gathering danced in her mind, a sweet melody woven with words of hope and faith. As she stepped into the sunlight streaming through the window, she sensed that the air felt different, charged, even. There was a promise lingering just beyond her grasp, and she was eager to uncover it. Mark was already up, pouring coffee and humming softly as he moved about the kitchen. The warmth of his presence wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. How are you feeling this morning? He asked, his eyes shimmering with the morning light. Alive, she replied, her heart racing with excitement. I feel like something extraordinary is about to unfold. They spent the morning in prayer, seeking guidance and wisdom. With every shared thought and whispered plea, they felt the presence of the Holy Spirit guiding them. It was as if a lamp was being lit, illuminating the path they were meant to tread together. After the quiet moment, they decided to visit the community center again. When they arrived, their eyes widened at the sight before them. A small crowd had gathered outside, faces filled with a blend of curiosity and anticipation. Sarah felt a surge of joy as she recognized a few familiar faces, neighbors and friends who had not been part of last night's gathering but were now drawn in by an unseen force. Look at this! Mark exclaimed, his enthusiasm palpable. They want to be part of something beautiful. As they approached, Sarah could see the eagerness in the eyes that met hers. She felt a spark of divine purpose igniting within her. What if we could pray for them right here? She suggested, her heart racing at the thought. Mark agreed, and as they stood before the gathering crowd, Sarah felt the weight of the moment. We've created a space where stories can be shared, she began, her voice steady yet filled with warmth. But what if it could be more? What if God wants to do miracles among us today? A hush fell over the crowd, filled with a reverent expectancy. People leaned in, hungry for something more than their everyday lives. Sarah continued, if you have a need, whether for healing, comfort, or hope, know that we are here for you. God sees you, and He is ready to meet you. In that instant, people began to step forward. One by one, they shared their burdens. A mother with a sick child, a man battling addiction, a young woman weighed down by grief. Sarah and Mark listened intently, each story a thread weaving into a larger tapestry of faith. The atmosphere swiftly shifted, rich with a profound sense of community. With hands outstretched, they prayed over each individual, inviting God's healing and peace. As they laid their hands upon each person, Sarah could feel an undeniable current of love, wrapping around them like a sacred embrace. Hearts began to open, despair transforming into hope. Suddenly, amidst the prayers, a voice broke forth from the crowd. I feel something. A woman gasped, her face radiant. The pain in my back is gone. A ripple of excitement surged through the gathered crowd, faith igniting like wildfire. Mark and Sarah exchanged wide-eyed glances, incredulity mixed with joy. That's just the beginning, Mark murmured, barely able to contain his excitement as more testimonies followed. The day unfolded with a beautiful cascade of healing, empowering individuals to share their own miraculous experiences. It felt like a garden blooming under the touch of sunlight, each story a vibrant blossom of faith. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, Sarah felt the weight of God's self-presence drawing close again. What started as a simple meal has turned into healing, she proclaimed to the crowd, her voice rising with every word. What if this is just the beginning of God's loving unfolding in our lives? The crowd erupted into cheers, hearts beating in unison. Yet, as the praises rang out, a profound question lingered in Sarah's heart: what untold miracles had yet to come? The spirit of expectation hung heavy in the air, leaving everyone, Sarah, Mark, and the entire community, wondering what divine surprises awaited them on their journey ahead. As night fell, the community center illuminated warmly, flickering light casting dancing shadows on the walls. The atmosphere was electric, filled with joy and shared faith. People lingered, sharing their stories, laughter mingling with heartfelt tears. Sarah watched the scene, her heart swelling as the seeds of hope continued to blossom amidst them. "Look at them," Mark said, voice thick with emotion. "They've found something they've been searching for." "Yes," Sarah replied softly, her gaze fixed on a small group huddled together, praying earnestly. "It's like they've discovered a treasure they thought long lost." Suddenly, a familiar figure appeared in the doorway: Grace, an elderly woman from their church who had been struggling with loneliness since her husband passed away. Her eyes sparkled with an unusual light as she approached. "I've come to witness the miracles. God has prompted me to be here tonight," she declared, a grin spreading across her face. Sarah felt an irresistible pull toward Grace. "What's on your heart, Grace? How can we pray for you?" With a twinkle in her eye, Grace leaned closer as if sharing a delightful secret. "I want to feel God's embrace in a new way. I've been afraid of being alone, but tonight I feel drawn to this warm light." With gentleness, Sarah took Grace's hand, and together with Mark, they surrounded her in love and prayer. "Holy Spirit, envelop her in your presence," Sarah whispered fervently. "Let her feel your joy." As they prayed, a hush settled over the immediate area, reverberating through the crowd. Sarah's heart raced. She could sense an almost tangible peace wrapping around Grace. Suddenly, Grace began to tremble slightly, then burst into joyous laughter. "Oh, I feel it. I feel alive," she exclaimed, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I have never felt so loved." A collective gasp rippled through the nearby crowd. They watched as an older woman, once burdened by grief, now radiated pure joy. Laughter spilled out from Grace, infectious and freeing. The moment ignited a fire within others, testifying to God's power to revive hearts, no matter how weary they may be. In the wake of that powerful moment, another woman stepped forward, her eyes glimmering with determination. "I want to share my story too," she said, her voice steady. "For years, I struggled with addiction. I felt hopeless, trapped in darkness. But today, after praying, I realized that I can walk in freedom." Cheers erupted once more, voices harmonizing in spontaneous worship. As testimonies flowed like hidden springs, Sarah couldn't help but wonder, how deep did God's love run? In the midst of what became a vibrant tapestry of shared faith, Sarah sensed a stillness in the air. It was an invitation, a gentle nudge from the divine. "God's not done yet," she called out, raising her arms in hope. "Miracles are happening here, but let us not stop. Let us dig deeper. Who else has a need?" Eager hands shot up, and once again, they prayed, laying hands on those who sought healing and liberation. Each whisper was an act of faith, a conduit drawing the community closer to the heart of God. Just as they finished, an unexpected voice rang out from across the room, a man they hadn't seen before, pale and trembling. "I've been searching everywhere for something real. Can this be it? Can God really change my life, too?" The crowd fell silent, all eyes upon him. Hope hung in the air. There was a gravity in that moment, igniting flames of faith as sparking connections threatened to explode into everything that lay ahead. Sarah felt her pulse quicken. There was more to come, something even greater waiting to unfold. What if the night held not just miracles but also divine revelations that would redefine their lives? They had only just begun to scratch the surface of God's love. The room was thick with anticipation. The man's question lingered, piercing through the silence like a beacon calling out to lost souls. Sarah felt a surge in her spirit, a beckoning to answer that raw vulnerability. "God's love is real," she said gently, stepping closer to him. "It can wrap around you like a warm embrace. You don't have to search any longer." As she spoke, a collective gasp escaped from the crowd, the eyes of many were riveted on this stranger. Hope shimmered like sunlight dancing on water, illuminating faces that were once shrouded in doubt. The man lowered his gaze, his voice trembling. "But how? I've messed up so many times. I don't know if I can believe I deserve it." Mark interjected, "None of us are worthy on our own, but through Christ, everyone is invited to the table. It's about faith, not perfection." That truth hung in the air, so potent and real. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Stories of failures and redemption began to emerge, each person eager to share their journey from darkness to light. One by one, they recounted their struggles: addiction, broken relationships, chronic pain, before revealing how they found healing or hope through faith. Sarah felt something shift within her. The man, still hesitant, needed to see more. He required a living testament, someone who had walked through the fire and found peace on the other side. She turned toward Grace, who still glowed with newfound joy. "Grace!" Sarah called, drawing everyone's attention. "Would you share your path with us? Your story speaks of God's transformative power." With joy, Grace stepped forward, her laughter still ringing in the air. "Oh, love, I never thought I would stand here again. Loneliness trapped me like a fog. I've wandered through grief so deep, I thought my heart would never heal. But God—" Her voice lifted, carrying the weight of her testimony. "In my darkest hour, I cried out for help. I needed to feel His presence. And just when I thought I was truly alone, I felt an incredible warmth, His embrace wrapping around me. It's like the light of heaven broke through, lifting me from despair." As she spoke, the atmosphere shifted yet again. Faces lit with understanding and recognition, many resonating deeply with her words. The man stepped closer, captivated, uncertain yet willing to listen. "Grace, how did you keep going?" he asked, vulnerability spilling from his heart. "I prayed," she replied. Her eyes sparkled with conviction. "Every day, I chose to believe that God was near. And each time I took that leap, He met me there. Just trust Him, the smallest measure of faith can move mountains." The room buzzed with life, hearts quickening and spirits soaring. It was a beautiful dance of faith, an orchestra of souls moved by a singular purpose. Sarah felt exhilaration pulse through her veins. This was their moment, a unifying experience that transcended barriers. "Anyone else ready to step into the light?" Sarah exclaimed boldly, hands raised higher, some trembling, others steady. Next, a young woman approached, her expression fierce yet hopeful. "Me. I want healing from my past bitterness that has held me captive for too long." The crowd came alive, surrounding her. "You are not alone," they echoed, voices lifting high in a chorus of support and prayers. Here, the presence of God was palpable, like a warm breeze teasing through every soul, beckoning them closer. As they prayed, a palpable energy enveloped the community, renewing hope, illuminating darkness, and binding them in love. The chains of fear loosened, the weight of shame lifted, as God moved in their midst, reshaping lives. Sarah felt a shiver run down her spine, a divine alignment unfurling before her. What wonders awaited them beyond this moment? What would happen if they continued to trust and step out in faith together? With hearts wide open and space for even more miracles, they awaited the next move, the next revelation. God was indeed up to something incredible, and the night stretched ahead, rich with possibilities. The energy in the room shifted, pulsing with an intensity that made hearts race and spirits rise. As prayers enveloped the young woman, Sarah felt a surge of divine love flow through her like a gentle tide washing over a rocky shore. It was a reminder of their fragile human nature, the beauty of their shared weakness, and the comfort they found in each other. "God is here with us," Sarah proclaimed, her voice breaking through the noise of expectation. "We are witnesses to His miracles tonight." Eyes brightened, faces turned toward her, each person eager to catch a glimpse of what God would do next. The man, who had stood on the fringes, now took a small step forward. Doubt still clouded his heart, but now a glimmer of faith fought within him. Sarah could see his struggle reflected in others around him. It was a universal battle, the desire to believe while grappling with fear. "Is it really this simple?" someone whispered from the back. Can we really let go of our pasts? Yes. Grace chimed in, her voice dancing like a flame in the air. The beauty of redemption is that it's not about what we've done, but what Christ has done for us. It's never too late. The words echoed like a heartbeat within the walls of the gathering place. An electric hope ignited as others picked up Grace's invitation. Can we actually step into something new? Many voices murmured together, the weight of yearning blending with hope. The man, now rooted within the collective spirit, summoned his courage. I feel so tired of carrying my burdens, he admitted. His voice broke, trembling with the weight of loss. That heaviness doesn't belong to you, Sarah gently replied, driven by a need to reassure him. When we bring our pain to God, He lifts it from our shoulders. Come, let us lay it all down together. Inviting expression transformed the space, folding it into a surreal tapestry of surrender and trust. Around the room, individuals began to spill their stories, shedding layers like winter coats cast off in spring's warmth. Tears of authenticity flowed freely, mingling with laughter and gasps of discovery. As faces glowed with hope, Sarah sensed the atmosphere thickening with divine potential. It was more than words, it was the presence of something holy taking root. The crowd was intertwined in shared vulnerability, each breath mingling with the next, a sacred rhythm filled with yearning and connection. Then, the moment arrived. In the quiet lull that followed their stories, a tangible stillness washed over them. The light in the room seemed to shimmer more brightly, bathing their hearts in radiant warmth. It was a calling, a divine whisper encouraging them to be filled with faith. Close your eyes, Sarah urged, feeling a surge of authority well up within her. Let us encounter our Father together. With a deep breath, the crowd submitted to the sacred quiet. They joined in unison, lifting their hands toward the heavens. I am healed. I am free from my past. Sarah declared, the words rolling forth like a wave crashing onto the shore. I am loved. I am worthy. Echoed the congregation, hearts echoing the truth of his promises. Each proclamation pierced through the darkness, anchoring new realities. They began to notice a shift, burdens lifted, scars healed. It was happening before their very eyes. The man who had been hesitant now found tears streaming down his face, filled with overwhelming joy. The crowd erupted in applause and joyous shouts, a melody of faith breaking forth into the night. But even amidst the celebrations, there was an electric tension in the air, the promise of uncharted territories still waiting on the horizon. Sarah pondered, what other wonders would emerge as they ventured deeper into faith together? The night was still young, and mystery lingered like the scent of newly bloomed flowers. What would happen when their trust was stretched beyond their current understanding? Would they indeed uncover the miraculous awaiting them? A question hung thick in the air, awaiting its answer. What divine revelations awaited them next? As dawn broke over Ashwood, a new chapter awaited. The sunrise painted the sky with soft pastel hues, heralding hope that shimmered in every crevice of Sarah and Mark's hearts. They awoke, filled with the joyful remnants of last night's energy, ready to embark on the unfolding miracle that God had set in motion. Can you believe everything that happened? Mark murmured, pouring fresh coffee, his eyes dancing with excitement. I feel like we've only scratched the surface of what God has in store for us, for all of us. Yes. Sarah replied, heart swelling with gratitude. It feels like a dream. The way the community came together, it was like we stepped into a divine rhythm. As they sat together, their minds swirling with the possibilities, an unmistakable certainty settled in Sarah's soul. God was not just moving, He was about to unleash waves of transformation born from their shared faith. They decided that today would mark the beginning of something bigger, a mission not just for themselves but for the entire village. Let us gather everyone and share our vision, Sarah suggested, her voice brimming with excitement. This is just the beginning of a journey towards continued healing and hope. Stepping outside, the sun's golden rays warmed their skin, nudging them into action. Word of the miraculous night before had already spread like wildfire through Ashwood, the air buzzed with expectancy. As they walked through their community, they felt the echo of smiles, the glint of faith igniting in every corner. When they reached the community center, they found it teeming with life families, singles, the young and the old, all drawn in by a common purpose, to embrace this new call. The energy pulsating in the room felt electric, intertwining them all in a fabric woven with love, hope, and shared experiences. Sarah stood before the gathering and raised her hands, allowing the presence of God to wash over her. "Friends," she began, her voice rising with fervor. "What we experienced together last night was more than a moment. It was a glimpse of the magnificent work God is doing in each of us together. This is our time to boldly step forward, to share our stories of healing and hope, not just for ourselves but for those around us who are yet to discover their own miracles." The crowd erupted into applause and shouts of agreement. Mark stepped forward, reflecting that fire. "We were called to bring light into dark places. Let us unite our hearts and hands. It's not enough to simply share our stories, we must actively reach out to those in need." Their words resonated throughout the room, fueling the spirit of community that had blossomed in the wake of Jamie's healing. One by one, villagers began to share in that space of vulnerability. A father spoke of his economic struggles and the anxiety it brought. A high school student expressed her fight against loneliness amidst a sea of faces. The stories unfurled like petals, layers revealing raw edges and shining light. As the sun dipped low, casting a warm glow through the windows, hope was tangible, flowing from heart to heart. Sarah could feel the weight of burdens lifting as shared experiences wove them together. An older gentleman named Fred, who had silently sat at the back, mustered the courage to step forward. "I've walked in darkness too long," he said, his voice strong yet shaking. "I'm ready to lay it all down. Pray for me." That moment set the congregation into motion. The atmosphere crackled with purpose as hands reached out to envelop Fred in love and prayer, a community rising in unity. As Sarah prayed, a profound peace settled over the gathering. They were not just witnesses of miraculous love, they were now active participants. "I believe God is calling us to form a support network," Sarah breathed through the spirit-filled silence. "Let us commit to being there for one another, not just in celebration, but also in times of struggle. Let us create walking partners and prayer group spaces where burdens can be shared and our joys multiplied." The response was overwhelming. Everyone began to talk amongst themselves, brainstorming how to reach out to others in need, resources, phone trees, and regular gatherings to support each other. Every voice contributed, a chorus of hope rose higher, merging with the soft symphony of faith in that sacred space. As twilight settled over Ashwood, Sarah glanced around the room, struck by how far they had come. Each laughing face glowed with a new light as they envisioned a community ignited by God's love. The air was thick with prayer and possibility, a harmonious blend nurturing an unbreakable bond that had formed overnight. And as the night drew near, a gentle reminder whispered in Sarah's heart: the journey awaited was far greater than they could have imagined. What miracles awaited beyond their declarations tonight? What divine revelations lay just ahead, shimmering like stars in the vastness of the night sky? With grace, they closed out their gathering in prayer. It marked not just the end of a meeting, but the beginning of a wave of love that would ripple through Ashwood for generations to come. Sarah smiled, leaning into Mark as they stepped outside to embrace the night, feeling the pulse of faith resonating in their hearts. The stars twinkled brightly above, beckoning them into the continuing journey ahead, and just like that, a simple village became a beacon of hope, illuminated by a collective faith united to change lives forever, echoing through the ages, divine and wondrous. Now, my friend, you cannot miss out on what's coming next. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss these exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. We need your support. Comment your thoughts and testimonies about this powerful conclusion. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. You must act now, for true servants of God know the importance of spreading His message. Let's keep this divine movement alive.